New easy approval business loans up to $2 million and above, as well as 0% interest for 6 to 18 months and up to 150, if not 250,000 in the form of business credit cards you can liquidate out of and use that amount for whatever you need to and much more. Hi everybody, this is Michael with Viral Funding Solutions. I'm a business funding expert, or you could say a business loan broker expert who's been in this for a long time, helping out a lot of business owners. I run my own businesses in the digital marketing agency, lead generation, affiliate marketing in the health space, other verticals there, other ventures. Now, this is my primary focus as a business funding expert, and I've been doing this for many, many years. I'm in the trenches, I'm in the battlefield, I'm in the wars every single day. Just before this video, I was seeing certain documentation from certain clients, and I've been passing them through my lender and other parts of the underwriting. Others have already been funded in taking that in whatever service it is. And just know that I've been in your position. I know how hard it is from the very beginning as a startup, as a non-startup, looking for funding, and you're unsure about where to turn to, and you're just applying anywhere and everywhere. You're probably getting bombarded with loads of emails. You're like, how did that appear? What did I subscribe to? I don't remember that. How did they get a hold of me? And you have to be cautious of putting applications out there, because a lot of these credit bureaus, they release that information out to somebody that can buy that. And then they're contacting you, telling you, hey, I just saw you previously applied here. Hey, I see you're in the market for funding. But be very cautious. You're like, I don't even know about you. I don't even know if you're trustworthy, reliable. There's only one way to find out, but I don't want to be contacted this way. Why am I going about it like that? So I want to get into what are these easy approval business loans, but keep in mind, all down below in the description and in the bio, I'll have more information like the questionnaire you can fill out. If you do, you'll be able to get a highly personalized and customized email response on your best funding option and options thoroughly broken down, even information that you cannot find publicly through the lens of the underwriters and lenders and what they want. I know how to pre-underwrite these files extremely well, and I'll show you what's best right now in the market. I'll even give you multiple positions and options, whether you can or can't qualify, and I'll show you which one is best. So that's where I would get started for most energy and time efficiency. I have systems to do this, and I'm going to send it out to you. You can even get started from that PDF/email. It's very good stuff. You can reuse it, come back to it. It's a trustworthy source, and you got me at your fingertips in a way of like, hey, I have somebody as a resource that I can leverage. So everybody's looking for the edge on a new service. They're thinking about, how can I get a business loan or any business funding with less interest, longer terms? I want something longer than 5 years, something longer than 24 months, even longer than 10 years. What do I have to do to go about it? Because right now, Michael, the interest rates, they suck. I can't tell you how many times I hear that, and I'm not saying it isn't true. But the thing is, when I tell them, what is the benefit of you using these funds? Do you know your numbers financially, strategically, tactically? And they do, or they don't, or they're somewhere in the middle. And so if you were to ask me, how am I going to use my money if I'm going to take $30,000 to start, or if I get approved for more, how am I using that? How much do I actually need? What's your financial needs? How much do you need? Do you know where to turn to and look for? Do you know where to then go and apply? See, it's a very strategic setup that you have to do correctly, unless you want to continue to make mistake after mistakes. And seeing how the market is now, you're unsure about if you're going to get qualified for this. And even if you do, will you get maximum funding at the best terms and rates? So there is no quote unquote new business loan. Let's look at the reality as it is, but I'm going to get into some of these options out there right now, what it is that I'm seeing in the market right now. And I help out a lot of people with quality and quantity. People gravitate to me, let me say this very quickly, not because of my why in terms of the business. That's one part. I want to help you get away from all those online marketplaces and all these crooks and people trying to get you something that just doesn't make sense, and they're sleazy about it. They're probably doing all these tactics on you and over talking you and not really listening. I'm an introvert. I'm very cerebral. And you could say that this industry doesn't match my personality, which it's true, but I know my stuff very well. And I've worked in these other businesses. I've been doing this for a long time, so I know my stuff. And I treat you like an actual human, a person, not a number. And I didn't say just a number, if you didn't listen to that. But what you have to understand is, everybody looking for a new grant, everybody looking for a new business loan, everybody looking for that new vehicle or that new opportunity where they think psychologically, emotionally invested in, yes, that's what I want. And there's a lot of scams out there where people will tell you, hey, we have a new product. And they try to fancy it up. Like I found another lender the other day, organization. I went through their site and I'm going, no wonder a lot of people fall for it, because what they read isn't even true. It's not even all the information that should be given. And it's like, it sounds so good. Like there's no set term, there's no set rates, like low rates. And then when people apply, they find out they get a larger rate. And they're like, that's not what I read in the beginning, or that's not what I thought I would get. See, that's the problem with a lot of these organizations. Even the best lenders don't even have that information. They don't want you to know about. They give it to the brokers. And certain brokers, they may give more than others because on a personal and business level, they are that helpful. But new business loans, new business funding, in perspective to you getting new funding is another thing, not as in let's look for a new service. All the services are out there, and I've said this before, whether it's an SBA loan, you're looking for an online bank term loan, collateral, you're looking for revenue-based, credit-based solutions. We could do other ways as well. And what I'm seeing in the market right now, before I get into the whole credit, cash flow, collateral, because you either have one of these three, two of these three, or all of these three. And I look at maximizing your potential around one and even multiple now and in the future. And if not, business credit. As a startup and as a non-startup, I have plans for you like I do for everybody. And if you've been around for some time and you filled out my questionnaire and you received the response back, you should know that. Now, if you haven't looked for that email, that's another question. I'll follow up with you. And not looking for it, that's pretty much ignorance. And that's just saying I'm busy. That's excuses. If it were important enough for you, you would look at it. And if you see the perceived value in it, you would take a look at it and more. And if I were to charge you for submitting a questionnaire, then you would, look at it, wouldn't you? Or if it were a lower price, you probably, it depends. But I don't do that. Should I? Maybe I should, because a lot of you don't pay attention to that. And so all it is understanding what your services are. And what I'm seeing in the market right now are anything to do with liquidity, any kind of hard assets you can convert into cash, anything that you can liquidate out of cards, like 0% interest business credit cards and a few others. But if you have those business credit cards and you can liquidate that and turn it into cash that then you can use for any kind of rental real estate, fix and flips, commercial, anything else that's real estate related as well as business related, any kind of expenses you need to clear up, whatever the percentage is on that. If you're hiring more employees, more workers, you're looking to do more with an expansion, growth project, whatever that may be, equipment. I can go on and on and on about the scenarios, but it's not really limited. And so kind of like a true business line of credit, you could use it for a variety of things. And with this here, and you have the 0% interest, you can pull the cards out of these. It's pretty cool. You can put them on a balance transfer swipe. There's a few ways to go about it that I've helped out people with already. But let's say we were to do like a Chase Bank, 10 to 20,000, depending on your credit profile on your personal. We look at that. I'll review that with my team. And then we come together and say, well, we can look at doing cards from here. We can do one from doing it from the Bank of America, one from US Bank, Truist, PNC Bank, national, regional, community, etc. And it depends on what we could do for you. And credit unions right now are becoming more relevant than ever, and many people are using them. But be very careful about the benefits of using them. Be careful about the surplus sometimes amount of documentation that you would have to provide. But more importantly is the amount of funds that you receive. You might not get as much as you want, but over here you're getting maximum funding. Over here we work on this first. If you do need a credit union card or whatever you need to do there, then we can use that as an addition. Or a lot of people are in a position where they can only use credit unions at this moment. And credit unions are taking over certain banks and stuff like that. And so there's been transitions going around right now, and there's a lot of stuff that you might not be seeing, and then the worth of the dollar. But liquidity, anything that you can liquidate the cash out of, hard assets you might be able to just forego for being able to get cash out of. A sell leaseback, which is pretty cool. You can give up the title to the lender until you pay the full amount back, and then you go back on that. Then you also have other ways of doing that, but equity-based, that's huge right now too, and I'm doing plenty of this, where we can inject equity out of real estate. So commercial real estate or any real estate investment that you own, real estate property that you own, you could say. There's also the whole home part of that, cash out refinance, home equity lines, home equity loans. But that might be the last option. I wouldn't focus on that. There are some pros and cons to it. But the cash out refinance, especially if you have property, real estate investment that you own, and you have commercial real estate, and I'm doing a lot of that. And so liquidity, equity, you can kind of intertwine the two, but those are going far right now. And it's because revenue based, credit based, either they can't qualify or you just get very little, or just everything's changed and become more conservative, like the lines of credit have been. Since the banks have been tightening up, there's been more opening up over here, but it's still harder to get approved. And you have to understand the finances of business. And if you don't understand that, it becomes very hard to even just want to get funding because you don't understand the logistics of that. You're going to complain all day long, why am I getting medium to high rates when I could have done this, or you can't qualify for that. And so you're going to try to over justify something that doesn't make sense. I get it all the time. And so what we have to look at and say, where am I positioned in the market? What could I do if I took this money to use? Even if it is more of a medium to higher rate, I don't have the credit, but I have the cash flow, the month-to-month bank statements, revenue, the collateral. Do I have that? Is that a good component? Do I meet the annual sales that the lenders are looking for? Or can I do a sale leaseback? Can I do a cash out refinance with lower credit? See, that's the advantage of doing a cash out refinance, even with lower credit. Over here, the creative credit base, you'd have to have good credit. And even if you don't, you could look at fair credit cards and do a few things, but without an optimized credit profile, you can only get so much. Bad credit, then you're going to have to add a security deposit and hold that money in an account while we give you other things. There's so much you guys got to pay attention to. So new business loans really aren't out there. SBA loans at the pinnacle. Right now what I'm seeing are the Bolt SBA loans. This is a new SBA loan that's been around for just a little bit now. And this is up to $150,000, only used for working capital. So not debt refinancing, not consolidation, not inventory, not equipment, but working capital only. And you can intertwine that a little bit too. But this is one that does require a FICO SPSS score that's a little bit higher. Business liquid credit, business credit scores of 175 plus. It used to be around 155 plus, more or less, 680 credit. But now we're looking at like 700 and above in credit. And we're looking at a certain amount of time in business, 2+ years time in business with supplemental documentation. I'm not going to get into all of that, but 30% of top line revenue is what you can accept. You can assume or expect to get approved for is the word. And you could just do some quick numbers on what you're doing in annual gross revenue and come up with that number yourself. If you don't know your numbers, there's so many people that don't even understand their month to month revenue, their gross profit, their cost of goods sold, how to lower costs, why are they lowering costs versus when should they increase costs. And it's dependent on every type of business and right now on their market and what we're going through in the economy. I'm not going to spend time on that. If you guys didn't know, I just want to say this very quickly. I did go to school. I studied. I was a Division I soccer player. I studied a little bit of sociology, and then I transitioned into chemical engineering. I really love math. I'm a systems and math guy. I did chemistry. Chemistry being my favorite. I love chemistry, thermodynamics. I love everything about that. Studied that hard. And then I got into business administration because I eventually wanted to start a business. And I started doing more underneath business, marketing stuff, and so forth. Was working in construction, manufacturing for some time. And I was in the field. I wasn't actually like in the cubicle. You know how they have a person tucked away in the cubicle. Nothing bad about that. But I actually worked hard. And somebody who educated themselves going into the position like that shouldn't have. But life experiences, things happened in my younger 20s where I wanted to open up to that and see if I can challenge myself and do things differently. See what I don't know. See, a lot of you stick to a straight path linearly. But sometimes you just have to pivot and you have to see what you're made of. Not always, but then I did that, manufacturing for an aerospace company, working on the machines, chemical stuff related, was in a blueprint room later on after warehousing and a lot of stuff before that, etc. Not because I wasn't unstable, it was just because I was trying to figure out other things. You got to sometimes figure out different industries to see what is best suited. You don't always think that the first one is the only one or that same career path. And so later on, I got into financial logistics, working a lot even harder up here. Physically, I was for a huge contracting company servicing HP, Peace Health. Unfortunately, we had to go down under, got bought over, transitioned. That company went out as well. Things happen, mergers. A lot of people had to leave from Peace Health, HP, etc. in our positions, 50 plus. A lot of high tier people. And I wasn't getting paid what I was worth to. I couldn't move up a role. And so at that time, I was already preparing. Should I go back to school and earn another degree for more certifications and more work? Or in a different position? Maybe this time I go into banking, finance, even deeper. or should I go and start a business? That's where it led into digital marketing agency. I started learning my stuff. Unfortunately, though, I had to go on unemployment benefits at that time, food stamp cards again, and it was not a good feeling. Introverted, cerebral me, going into a grocery store, not being able to lock eyes with the cashier, and just swiping and getting done, inserting, and on my way I went. And so it wasn't a good feeling, but at the time I was preparing myself for something even bigger that the man above had in plan for me. And so all came good about that. I built stuff over time. I didn't start earning income in the first couple of months immediately. I had to build this out throughout a year. It was closer to the year that I was earning just something on a like pain relief cream and some other stuff that I was doing with digital marketing agency stuff, setting up and getting paid for that with family and friends. And then that started to grow even more as I got even deeper into those segments because I was building a couple businesses together, focused on one though a little bit more deeper, and then I started to grow from there. So let me go into the comments and I'll come back to things. Got it. Just with that number alone, you're generating enough per month. And we're not going to get into all the math and how much you could potentially get right now in this video. But with that amount, it just depends. What exactly do you need to use the funds for? And it would depend on more circumstances around that, like ROI and a few other things. Like, what is your plan 6 months down the road, 12 months down the road, like in terms of gross profit margins, probably net operating income. I'm sure have all those numbers as I do myself. And sometimes you guys can't get to those numbers right away. If you need to bridge cash flow gap, sometimes quick immediate money is the way to go, but is it expensive? And what percentage of your money are you using to allocate for emergency funds, for getting more routes perhaps, or on the same routes, just increasing that same income generating revenue stream from those current clientele? Is there more demand with the same clients? Is there a different demand in the market that you're trying to capitalize on? Exactly. So you're trying to capitalize on, would it be similar to the existing routes you have, like with is it variable or similar type of clients? Because there's so much more that I have to ask, because I'm a cash flow profitability EBITDA thinking math kind of person. So we don't have to get into all that right now. I'm sure you know your numbers, but especially if you're doing that per week, like you'd be insane not to understand your numbers. I'd be crazy generating 100,000 a month or whatever it is if I don't understand my numbers. Right? And so, and it's cool too because I used to do courier stuff. It's a bit different. Like back in the day, so I didn't want to do that kind of work, but I was more of an administrative role though. And so at times they'd have to take me out and go on routes. I had to carry birds in the back of a van at one point. And I'm like, what am I doing? And I had to take it temporarily for certain reasons and got out of that and started doing other things. But I get it. And so, yeah, with that said, in the amount that you are generating, it could be just a question of how's your credit? What range are you in? You can give me that. You don't have to tell me the exact amount. No, guys, I'm not a creditor, by the way. I know a lot of you out there are very sensitive about adding that information, and I get it. But like, I have a guy right now who I'm trying to pre-underwrite their file, and I can bring it up right here. Let me see where he is. Yeah, I can pre-underwrite his file, but he hasn't provided me with his personal credit. So if I don't know the personal credit range yet, I know he has another balance. Like, yeah, I could make a determination just based on that alone on how much you could potentially get, a second position consideration, or if there's a low enough of a balance remaining, then we can pay off the existing amount with the second and keep it underneath one. But I just have to know those things, because if somebody who says they got 50,000 right now in total debt and they have a remaining balance of 10 to 12,000 and they're expecting 150,000 the next time, that person was not given any kind of education on what they should and shouldn't do. Ah, okay. Yeah, so you're capitalizing on a new opportunity to generate you more revenue. And I'm sure you have your numbers now per month. and you understand 6 to 12 months in a yearly, like what your revenue would look like, what it looked like last year, and what you're projecting to make cash flow, of course, that's priority number one. But understanding those metrics and understanding the amount, if you're going from like 3 million to 5 million or whatever those numbers are. But 750 credit, nice. Thank you, Nelson. And with that said, and this is why I ask these questions, Nelson, somebody else would have said, come on in. And they won't tell you that it's a cash advance. And you may be above that. How much time in business do you have? I'm sure you have plenty of it, unless you just hit out the gates like some other businesses do, and they're like in their first 3 months they're doing like 50,000 a month. Like I have a lot of people right now, but others who are just getting started pre-revenue, haven't made anything, and just really need the funds to get them going. And there's certain things about that they should and shouldn't do. So with that, in the time in business, okay, this is the part where I do need to curve your expectations. I'm sure you're jumping and going like, well, I want 2 million, and you're like, if I don't get that, that's okay. Or 120, excuse me. If I don't get that, that's okay. But I could start somewhere initially and then pay that off as quick as I can and then move my way up. So with that said, let me do something very quickly here. I have an example that I want to bring up because this is similar to what I just did with a client right now. So let me put this here. Okay. So if you are already generating that amount, like I have this other client who was doing that, and I know you said that it was at that amount. I just want to have accurate information on this. Yeah, it shouldn't be too out of reach if that's what the actual revenue comes out to be per month and what I've seen from this other file that I have in my email. But if that's the case, you're 5 months in, you're just over the 4 months, and you're underneath a year. If you're underneath a year right now, underneath 2 years, don't expect an SBA loan. Don't expect the online bank term loan, because that's what I would have gravitated to. I would have been able to show you detail per detail, things that you guys just can't simply find online, and you would be able to get started very easily. With your credit being high enough as it is, and how our lenders and how we look at actual credit assessments, our lender scoring system's a bit different. But with that, the revenue per month, we broke it down per week. And considering that it is a lower time in business, and the accounts look good, by the way, like how you're depositing, not having too many insufficient funds or negative days or any, no more than 5 in the last like 90 days. A lot of the times they don't want to see. And so from that, what I would recommend, like there's 2 ways we can go about it, Nelson. Like I don't want to have to be that guy who says we have to do that whole hard money. Okay. So if you are paid with weekly, and the way it's set up, see, if you were 6+ months in, then we could look at a weekly repayment. So it brings me to think that even at the high amount of revenue you're generating, even if it were a daily repayment, it may not be as much of a problem because of your intake versus your outtake. And that's another thing you have to keep in mind, like how much comes in versus what goes out. You don't have to tell me like the exact amount, because a lot of businesses who are already depositing on that frequency, on that schedule, they will end up withdrawing a lot more money than they end up depositing. And I see it even more with daily. But if that won't be the case, depends on how fast you need the money to secure the routes and more. What I would then recommend is creative credit-based financing. Have you done any of that, like with personal and business combination, like a personal term / installment loan, and perhaps trying to do 0% interest business credit cards? And also, do you have a 700 plus on all 3 consumer credit bureaus? So let me just move up here. I saw your last message. 1 second. Yeah, so you're doing well in sales as it is, that you can leverage revenue-based and creative credit-based. So are you, what I would say is term and rate sensitive? Like what are your expectations for having a term and then your rates? Sorry, I have to open up the email from an underwriter very quickly. I'm working on proposed real estate for a client that has vacant lots. There's land involved, and they gave me a projection amount, and so I broke down the numbers, and now I'm looking to send them more information. Okay. Yeah, I don't want to, like I said again, I'm not that guy you can label and say, in this industry, I don't trust people. If anything you need to get out of this is, I don't trust people in this industry, as in like other brokers, even the people at a higher tier, because they all have sometimes a different agenda. Not all of them, but the way that they structure their business and the way that they talk to people, even people on the other side, I have to be cautious of, because a lot of people are disloyal. They're very untrustworthy, and it's a character flaw. I'm not going to get into all that right now, but good evening, Zoe. From what part of the world are you tuning in from? It's still morning here, Pacific Standard Time. Yeah, if so, what I would recommend, see, that's where you kind of have to look at it and go, do I want to put this on my personal, or can I do a combination of personal and business? And you can also use creative credit-based financing for multiple uses, whether you're purchasing new equipment for your runs, for your routes. What I would do, Nelson, is this is what I do with everybody. Because, and I had somebody do this today where they said, give me a call. I don't call people like that, because I have to have a framework, or I have to have something going in. Because if I were spending all my time on phone calls, I'm not like a phone call kind of guy, although I do it very, very well. But I want to make sure you fill out a questionnaire first. So I can send you this if you'd like to send me an email. Yes, I was going to say that. Here's my email. You could provide yours if you would like to, and I'll send it to you right now, real time, if you would like. But let me put it in my comments what my email address is. And I'll send you the questionnaire like I do for everybody. I did that to a gentleman yesterday who has stronger credit, but they don't have the revenue. So it'll help you and I, energy and time-wise. Like, you're going to love this. When you see this, you're going to go, I wish I would have had this many years ago, even when I didn't have my business. It's like you look at it and go, you have everything you need in one place. I can send you a PDF/email. It's going to be amazing. Even if it's 100 pages, don't be overwhelmed, but I'm going to navigate you in that. I've iterated this so well for each client that I'm going to give you a personalized and customized email/PDF response on your best funding option and options. And in that questionnaire, like you said, in sales, you're going to give me numbers based on what you're producing on your lowest monthly revenue, your average monthly revenue, credit. Do you have 670 plus on all three consumer credit bureaus? If 700, I'll give you a few scenarios and who the best lenders are and who I'm partnered with, because you have to be careful, again, giving your information across to people. And if you're just putting remotely inquiry after inquiry, gotta stop. For everybody in here watching, don't do that. That's going to hurt you. A lot of recent activity like that, whether you've taken funding or not recently, a lot of lenders won't want to work with you. And that's a reason that I see every single time people getting declined is they've been searching underneath the same thing over and over. They just came back again 30 days ago. And on top of that, low revolving account. So yes, please send me an email if you would like to, or you could provide yours, and I'll send it across to you with the questionnaire. I'll also send one with real estate if there's anything real estate ever related. But fill that out, and then I'll respond back via email. And then from there, you can get started. You'll be like, damn, this guy just saved me a lot of energy and time. I've seen him already here. And if you see my content, I'm there. I'm real as it gets when it comes to this. And I'm very energy and time efficient. Right now, I'm already thinking about how I spent a couple hours yesterday. And now I'm going to spend a couple minutes, and then I'm going to get going just to preserve some more energy and time. But yes, feel free to send me that. And then it'll land in my email, where then I will take a look at it. And I'll get back to you right away. If you're responsive, as I think you will be, like, I don't like to think and assume, then that's the problem that I have with people, though. It's not me, it's the person who gets in their own way. Just don't sabotage yourself. That's what I want to say to a lot of you in here. Don't sabotage yourself. And I spend a lot of time pre-underwriting these files and putting these custom email/PDF responses together. So please look through them. It'll be in your best benefit to do that. So let me look at that here. So yeah, I was just doing some quick numbers for other assessments and ranges. But yeah, at your current weekly sales/revenue, and you justify that per month, you're doing exceptionally well. Now, it's just a matter of what goes in and comes out and all these other things and deposits, types of deposits. But yeah, that could be just enough. If you don't have any other kind of funding, that could just be enough with a revenue based, or we could do a creative credit based solution. But the advantages too of like revenue based unsecured without collateral, it may not all show up timely payments on your personal credit bureaus. But when it comes to like a personal loan, those usually do. And if you were to add that on top of business credit cards at 0%, like I tell everybody in this industry right now, you want to have business credit cards. 5 months in, at that credit, you can prove with an EIN letter, articles of organization, and you get those 0% interest business credit cards from the bigger banks, and you're in, and your credit looks good too. By the way, we have to look at that. You're going to be so thankful, even if you can liquidate the cash out of these. Like, it's just a big thing. Does anybody have any questions, comments, or concerns? We'll do about 30 more seconds. If I did miss anybody, I do apologize. No worries, Nelson. I do a variety of things. I'm a very in-depth kind of person, so I have multiple businesses that I run. I have things that I do in like mortgaging kind of stuff too. There's cash out refinances. Nelson and everybody in here, like what's big right now if you didn't listen earlier? Liquidity and equity. Those are the two biggest. I was in a meeting earlier, like people just don't get it. There's a lot of rookies in this space. I'm not one of them. And I say that in being confident. I'm never cocky. Never grew up that way. I say less, I do more. That's the kind of person I am. So if you were my broker, this is usually shut. You need my documents and everything, I'll send it over. I trust you enough. I know who you are. I know why your company. All right, let's get started. You have the best? Show me. And so I do a variety of things. And right now in this market, and as I've done before, cash out refinances, guys, are big. So Nelson and anybody in here, if you have any kind of real estate property, commercial real estate, investment real estate, I should say, that you own, boom, you're golden. Like if you can withdraw equity from, and you have liquidity from these 0% interest business credit cards, that's why it's a great alternative, Nelson. That's why I said revenue and credit, because why people, they don't go through revenue based is because of cash flow deficits. And certain people get over leveraged taking out more of those advances just to make up and clear up other debt. I never got your email. Could you please provide me with your email so that way I can send you an email right now? Unless you added it, but I didn't see it. Appreciate you. Thank you, Nelson, for sharing the live. Much love. Really, I do. As well as anybody else in here who has and I missed it, I apologize. I usually do see it, but this time I'm kind of moving along. Appreciate it. Thank you. And so, yeah, if you could provide me with your email address, I'll do it right now. And I'll send it to you. I have a composed message. All I got to add is the email address. Let's put here. I was going to identify the subject line by your company name, but you don't have to provide that now. Let's do it this way. So what I'm doing now is I'm just copying and pasting my links, and then I'm putting for real estate property purchases or refinance, if ever it comes about. Then do and fill out this one. I'm gonna add more to that page. Gotta change things. Let me see. I probably put your email now. Just gotta input that. Is there an email though that I can? Maybe I already have it here then. No, I don't have it. I thought I did. I know I have a lot of Nelsons that I've helped out and that I funded. There's plenty of them. It's a lot of Johns, Nelsons, Susans, Karens, many more Bobs, my own name. The list can go on, and I can like tell you how many of them that I've helped out and funded. Oh, that's right. You probably sent it. Here, let me check. No, I didn't get anything. And you did send it to the MICHAEL, my first name, at viralfundingsolutions.com. It's probably giving a second to come through. Yes, it'll be Michael at viralfundingsolutions.com. And I'm looking at my inbox as we speak. I have one from someone else. They're asking me if I still help them with I can still help them with business credit. Yeah. See, this is why somebody who wanted a call, I told them just email me what they need, because see, we just saved ourselves like 10, 20 minutes. See, I don't have 10 to 20 minutes always. I don't even have 2 minutes. But if you can convey something very quickly or in a way that needs to be via email. Okay, yeah, it is. Let me do it again here. So it is MICHA as in Adam, E as in Edward, L at viral, something that goes viral. Yeah, it's up above. I don't know if you can see that though. First name, MICH, A as in Adam, E as in Edward, L at viral, something goes viral. Funding, like you're funding someone. Solutions with an S at the end, .com. Oh. M as in Michael, I as in Indigo, C as in Charlie, H as in Henry, A as in Adam, E as in Edwin, L as in Larry, and then the at, viral, something going viral, so VIRAL, and then the word funding, so F, I don't want to say the, that's why I don't want to say the letter after that. I said it once, like F. You know what? It sounds kind of off. But funding, F, we'll skip the next word so it doesn't sound that way. N, DING, solutions, and it has an S at the end. So solutions, like plural, .com. Michael at viralfundingsolutions.com. Did you get it? 10:52. I'm gonna get going here soon. Hopefully before 11. I gotta get on LinkedIn and do a few things. But I also gotta get caught up on a lot of these questionnaires. Today's a big catch-up day for me. I gotta get back on track with that. And then I gotta respond back to an individual for real estate. Yes. Just Michael at viralfundingsolutions.com. Unless you were about to display it. But if you give me your email address, I know you don't want to provide it here. That's another thing. That's why you didn't provide it. Some people will, others won't. But that way, I could just input it into the email address field and send it, because everything's already composed. So if you'd like to send it now, please do so. Or you want to wait, let me know what your plans are. I didn't see an email. Some people in this space are bizarre. Like the other day, I was thinking about a client that I was trying to help. Plus, I didn't get an email. I don't know if you're going to provide that, but it's like I was trying to help a gentleman out with this like telecom business, and we asked him to submit more bank accounts because he has multiple. Like we need to ask because we need to verify, and they can wait completely go, hey Michael, I'll send them over to you when here soon. Well, they just disappeared, like never to be heard of again, and it's been like way over a year now. And we were in the thick of it, like collecting documentation, reviewing it. We just needed to look through more accounts, and I had several phone calls with this person. Seemed to be, and probably is, a good human being. But like I look back on that and go, this is the reasoning why I don't even get on calls with people. There's a prime example. Not because they didn't take action, because they did to an extent, but when I asked for feedback, like where did they go? Were they going to submit this? And I wasn't pressuring them at all. They never responded back. Till this day, they haven't responded back. There could be a lot of things that happened, yeah, but like till this day, I didn't hear one thing. And so this is why people I can't trust. That's not the only reason why. It was way before that, but you probably are the same way. You can't easily trust someone. It's a lack of character. It's a lack of a lot of things from a person that goes into why. Email received. So here, I'm going to reply back to this, Nelson. Sent. You should have it now. See how energy and time, like thoughtful I am? That's me. Like if I'm looking how to reduce spillage, I'm looking how to reduce costs and raise efficiency, then I'll take that. There's different forms of delivering content. There's different forms that a lot of you don't understand, like digitally, but I've been in this landscape for a long time now. And so what you guys do traditionally, it could even be something traditionally brick and mortar, but you don't see what happens digitally. And so when you don't get it the way you want it, it becomes frustrating for you because you just don't get how it works on this end. And so it's just unfortunate a lot of people are like that. But let's see, did you receive the email that I sent back? Yeah, but with your time in business being where it is, it's just slightly over a month, which is good. Because 4 months, like if you had less than 4 months, less of an approval, you're going to get 20 to 25% of your monthly revenue. Hmm. That's low. Nice. It's a good amount of cases. That's a lot of units per day and the amount of activity that you have. Good job on that. I can spend more time on doing numbers myself here that I can geek out on, but I'm not going to do all of that. Nice. Look at that, from 515 then 518. I see it every single day there. Not on 517 though. 518. Yeah, so there's a lot of consistency there. I can see that. And at the wholesale value and units delivered, I see that difference there. And then install the markets. It's food stores. Nice job. Way to go. Yeah, you're doing very good. Keep it up, Nelson. I do like what I'm seeing here, though, from a lot of this. And I'm looking at the one of the routes, by the way, you sent me. Yeah, I can spend a lot of time on that. If I really wanted to like analyze and break it down, but I'm not going to do it right now for time and more. Yeah, it makes sense. And that's what a lot of people propose when they do have routes right now. They're looking to save more money, of course. It should have always been like that. But right now, people are even cutting back on routes. Things are just becoming too expensive for them. A lot of people have to remove certain contracts and really just figure out their internal business. It sucks. I have a lot of like trucking companies specifically. That's one of many that right now are struggling immensely. And I'm in those trenches every single day, as well as a lot of other industries. Any type of transportation, medical, construction. What a lot of these businesses need more than anything, if they're not growing and expanding, it's just working capital for emergency purposes. And they just need money like 6 months or 12 months down the road. Yeah, but that would be smart to do. And I've seen that. Cut back on cost, cut back on fueling. And it'll show when you put your P&L and everything together. It'll really help out cash flow and a lot more. Yeah, see, I can ask a lot of questions of this, but I'm going to just leave it as it is. I'm going to get going here in a second. But normally I would ask a lot about that. So yeah, when you have a chance, please feel free to... Oh, I see the other ones you sent. Got it. Slightly higher there. Yeah, I like the amount of shredded value you have here with the units delivered. That right there to a lender, if I were the lender, I don't know how they want to look at things, that'd be very good. Now, what would be our concern is just the frequency of depositing and that you deposit per week. Because then that leads me to think, and you could probably give me an answer on this, is would you be okay with taking if you had to, I don't want to say I want you to, but a daily repayment. It just, I guess, depends on the type of repayment. And you have to look at your payment frequency, of course. You have to know how consistent and stable your current clientele is, which it looks like it's there. But also look at intake versus outtake cash flow, what goes in per day, and if that's even worthy to do. Because if you're looking for way over 6 figures in funding, like I can tell you right now very quickly, your rate might be higher just because, not because of your credit, but because of your time in business and the industry, how the industry falls under. But if we were to say, because of your credit, trying to be considerate here, because normally you see these factor rates when it's revenue based, it's not going to be an online bank term loan, traditional APR, or an SBA loan at this point until you have more time. And this is what I can work with you on too, Nelson, is I do this with everybody. So let's say you were to take revenue based, it's unsecured business financing. And then we're able to take that and then refinance it later on underneath an online bank term loan lender or an SBA 7A loan lender. When you have the FICO SBSS, you have the 2 years plus time in business, then I couldn't see why this wouldn't work. But when you start taking more money, that's what you need to be careful of. And if you're taking more of this kind of money and you're already getting paid weekly, as you are, you're depositing weekly, that's something to be cautious of. And if you move into weekly repayments from daily to weekly, then you have to think about, okay, well, now what's my monthly payment? What's my actual annual debt? And so I look at all these debt schedules from clients. Like I looked at one the other day. I'm doing a refinance for an SBA loan right now. And they have proposed debt. My goodness. They had 4 positions, 75,000, 100,000, 120,000. They need to just free up cash flow. It's really hurting them. So you don't want to get yourself into a point, and I'm not going to do this to you. I would never, unless it makes sense. You grow so fast. If you have an idea you want to fuel, like your routes, and this is already like mathematically you're saying, and I'm seeing the numbers too, and they look like, okay, I don't see why you couldn't do this and take this kind of money and make more money with it, which you will be. You already know your projections. I could already determine what you're going to be probably making with that, with what you have currently. And then the amount of units, increasing the amount of units. Okay, yeah, solely for that. Like you said earlier too, just for that reason. But yeah, for that, we can look at revenue based. Certain lenders, though, do shy away a little bit when it comes to purchasing routes. Even SBA loan lenders will be a little shaky when it comes to purchasing routes. But if the revenue is there and the reason for using these funds is consistent and good enough, and they look at what you currently are doing now, and they want to look at purchasing a future receivables, your future sales is really what happens in this space, then that might be the best way. Or like I said, credit-based. And the alternative to these medium to higher rate products are the personal and business combo. So I'll send it to you in the PDF. When you fill out the questionnaire, I'm going to analyze and evaluate it. So when you get a chance to, you can do that because I sent it to you just earlier. Fill that out, and then I'll get you a response back on what you should do. And then you can look at those options. You can look at the hybrid advance / term loan. That'll be one of them, the best one you're going to see there for the revenue based. And then there's going to be one underneath that. After some of those options, you're going to see the creative credit based financing. Yeah, and that happened to be the case nationwide. I've seen that a lot. And then with employees getting laid off, a lot of employees just rather not coming into work anymore. It depends again on the location, city, rural, whatever location. But yeah, I've seen that a lot. And then a lot of people right now are in a position where they're hiring more workers. Yeah, so it'll help you. Yeah, but that's still a good amount that you were doing. And that, are you saying that per week again? Like 28 and then before you were doing 40K? Yeah, and you have good routes, contracts, routes, units, what you're earning on those. It all makes sense. Yeah, you're still doing pretty healthy. When it comes to like COVID years, this even more with an SBA, they care about more. They go, it was more relevant last year because we look at 3 years of personal and business tax returns, and 2019 was a COVID year. So if the business wasn't profitable, but it was thereafter, cash flow maybe wasn't EBITDA, all this, then we can kind of push that aside and look at just the most recent 2 years, considering 3 years. But now, past 2019, where we're looking at 2020 through 2022, then, or if you have 2023 already, or 2022, excuse me, then that really there's no excuse there anymore. So it just depends on what we got to look at, and then what you're doing now and what you could make. That's a lot of the times what we want to know is how's your cash flow going to look. It's just like putting an executive summary together when you're starting a business and putting the proposed marketing, the market value, what you're looking at in terms of the competition that a lot of people don't look at. I'm sure you know your competition, but yeah, it's a lot of things. That explains a lot. Yeah, your margins were better. So yeah, that makes sense. See, that here, I already know. Cost of goods sold, all this other stuff. Like if I were to look at all this stuff, it would make sense to me why it was that way, and what you were doing, income versus expenses. So it makes sense. Cost of units sold, cost to produce, all this other stuff. But yeah. So what I'm going to do here in a little bit is I'm going to get back to a few clients that I need to. But Nelson, when you do have a chance, and anybody else in here that hasn't filled out the questionnaire, that's where you would want to begin. But I had sent you that already, so take a second to go through it, fill out the details on my form that I put together, and then once it lands, I'll make note of it. And I likely will send it back to you today, just because, like, when people are like this with me, why do you think, I'm not going to show favoritism, but I'm just going to say somebody who is like that is more in line to become more responsive. Somebody who really cares, not just about their business, but actually the person, not just trying to help them, but the person, who are they? That's the other factor. And that matters to me a lot. And then I'm looking at this here. That's a good amount for the ticket value on the 151. I'm not going to say the name of the store name, but I think you know what I'm referring to, or who I am referring to. There. Okay. Does anybody have any questions before I get going, or comments, concerns? Well, I guess I could ask you, now that I have you here, if we're going to do creative credit base, I'll even show you, like, in that PDF, like, you won't have questions. So you're going to go, damn, he showed me why I could and couldn't qualify. Like, if you can't read through this email, or anybody else can't read through this email, I'm left without words. Because it's like right there. And somebody who does not go through that shows me a lot about them. Not their bad business, one thing, but about who they are. And so it's so structured, and I've iterated for many years. I'm still iterating it, and I'm still adding things, subtracting from, multiplying, dividing, etc. But if somebody cannot read the simple parts of the email that they need to read, and they get distracted like a squirrel, every time you see like a squirrel. I've lost all hope for people. It's those who come back and complain and go, well, why did you show me this? And I didn't want that option. That's another thing. But I'm showing you I'm even going to show you, Nelson, like the online bank term loans and SBA loans. I'm going to have a custom roadmap for you at the very bottom of the PDF/email, like I do for everybody, based on what you have now and based on what we could get to. Like I'm going to show you. I'm going to say, hey, we can't qualify for an SBA loan, but here's everything. When you're ready, that's where we need to begin for your industry. That's where we would need to go. Now I know they're going to ask me for this. They're going to want to know these details. I never had that. Now that I do, bookmark, save it. I'm going to come back to that. That's what I would do. Maybe email me when I'm ready for that one. Hey, Michael, I'm ready to do an SBA loan. Or, hey, I want to get more business trade credit. Because that's what you should be doing too, more of, is business trade credit for fleet and more. But when you look at this stuff, it's a no-brainer. You're going to be like, damn, you really put this all together. Somebody the other day texted me, I'm going to get a second opinion from a friend or whoever it was. They texted me a few days after. Hey, my partner, they told me not to click the link. It's not safe. Guess what? I never messaged them back. Not because I didn't see an opportunity to just justify for them like I've done for many, but it's just like, if that's the way you think and feel about something, all right. So that's energy and time now that I have to justify to somebody that they are not right. But then again, they come back with this whole like, okay, or they come back with that whole, you're lying, and oh my God, I got that character. There's that person. Nope. Like, you don't want to have somebody like that. You don't ever want to deal with somebody who's hard-headed. I already gave them the benefit of the doubt of texting them again. Yeah. So, yeah. Does anybody have any questions? I'll do at least one more minute. I'm going to take more time to look at your routes too, by the way. I'm going to do some math and stuff on my side to look at things and have a chance. And actually, in the meantime, I'm going to compose this email for my real estate client that I needed to get back to. This is a land that we're working on. Peter, how are you doing? It's not really a new easy approval. It's just I wanted to keep people's expectations in the right place. Stop looking for new business loans and these new easy approvals. Glad to hear it. I think you sent me an email the other day. I just haven't gone back to you. I think it was on the no doc, right? And so with this whole no doc, everybody in here listening, I'm always honest. very careful about my words. I've been flooded. I'm saying that to an individual too. I'm extremely flooded, but I remember you, of course. And so it's not like I don't respond back to you guys. I had a broker the other day, and I'm like here overseeing a lot. And I say that confidently. I don't say that in being cocky at all. That's not who I am. And I'm a Libra, if that says anything. Older brother, too. But when you have these expectations and they don't get met, there's a lot of entitlement and that whole I deserve. And so I help other people too in my space that may not get anywhere, but they need aid, they need help. And I'm there, but I can't get back to them right away as I used to. I can't get back to them in the same day, the same even week. Sometimes it's weeks out. Sometimes it's even been a month out. But the problem that I have with people, and it's not just in this space as a broker / agent, it's they're not resourceful. It's not about having the current resources. It's about, can you be resourceful? So all of these people are coming from a whole 9 to 5, and I've been there, so I know the mindset. I remember that very first day. But a lot of people have that entitlement, and you didn't reach out to me, so I'm going to report. No, what are you reporting? How about this energy and time you took to send me an email? You put it into your education. How long did you take to compose that email? How much time in between did it take you? Did you take a break? So you have to think about those things. So in those at least 2 to 3 minutes, you could have put your focus on what you actually needed to do. See, I didn't have guidance. When I joined somebody, they didn't tell me, hey, go to your local or do other people's network. And now I do a lot of that where I have verticals and horizontals with people and we help one another out, or I get a lot digitally on foot. Banks, accountants, real estate investors, a lot of them, plenty in different industries as well. And so if you can't be resourceful like I am, good luck. Because this is going to eat you up. I don't say it like that, but if people don't want to hear the truth, well, I come from insurance, I come from mortgages, I come from great. I come from the bottom up. I love it. I do. But what can you show me you can do here? I just watching a video the other day of people trying to train others, and I go, oh my goodness. What are these people listening to? What are they watching? So, like, for one, I don't trust anybody in this space. Very minimal, selective group. But even then, you have to be careful about what you don't hear. See, I'm an observer. So if they're not telling me something, that's how I pick up on it. And I call people out on their bluff. And I've done it before. I don't like to do it. I don't rarely do it now. But there have been times where I go, oh, that's stupid. And the thing is, you have to understand how money moves in the lending space. If you don't understand that, you're going to have a very hard time as a person that I'm trying to help. I didn't say business owner, did I? I said person. See, I got to shake the tree. I got to shake the leaves off of you. That's what a lot of you need, is the leaves shaken off. It's a new season. And so you're set on these old beliefs that are not aligning right now with what's actually true and congruent. And so what I'm doing as well, because I've worked on myself in personal development as an entrepreneur / business owner, I'm working on the self-development, health and relationship side with people too. Because if those don't align, how will all this align? You can separate yourself from and block it, but once you come back to it, that's why I want to know who you are. Who is Nelson? Who is Peter? Who is Marie? And it also has to do a lot with what happens in the process. Are they going to be responsive? Will they allow for feedback? Will they be open-minded? Will they cause friction and resistance in the application process? Because that's a big problem that I don't need. And it's not like a problem that I'm solving. It's a problem that I'm having getting through to somebody. And so I've always told people, guys, and I think I might leave it here, why I would leave this industry, period. Like, don't try to convince me. There's no need to convince. If it's so good, if your marketing, if your guys' advertising or whatever is on point, it's so good, you don't ever have to convince anybody. You confirm. And with me very politely and respectfully saying that I'm confirming. I'm confirming why this works exceptionally well because I've built things up over a long time. And I'm confirming who that person is. But the reason why I would leave this industry, it's because of the person. The person, again, time and time, proves to me that they are not one to be trusted for a majority. And it's just hard. It's like, it's the simplest thing, like responding back to an email the way you needed to respond back. I see those things. If you don't have time to respond now, take some time when you can, but don't take too long if you don't have to, or if you shouldn't. Got it, Nelson. Thank you. I'm not sure if you're in here anymore, but I did see your questionnaire come in, and I did see your wife's name on that form. Thank you for that. And then I'm going to respond back to it here soon. Okay. And I'll give you a response back here soon. See, that's where it'll become a problem. So we might have to do creative credit-based financing, because if it was in February of that time, then you might not have February's bank statements per se. So we could do February, March, April, and then in this month. So if it started then, it might be best to do the creative credit base for that. And then you want the term expectation to be that high. Not sure if you're in here anymore, but... And you need funding as soon as possible to secure the routes. I'm trying to figure out this is the best way to do it. Would probably be the creative credit base route. So that would make it where you have half, or not even half of February. You have March, April, and we'll be concluding May. So I got to look at that. All right, everybody, I got to get going. I'll talk to you all on the next one. Thank you. Take care.